I'm Denise Keating. I'm the CEO and co-founder of DATAgility, and I started my career in the distribution channel almost 30 years ago for a leading electrical manufacturer, and I was responsible for literally building their EDI and VMI program from ground zero. When I first came in there, we didn't even know how to spell EDI. That's kind of where we started, okay? I spent nearly a decade there and then became a consultant with a software firm. And at that time, we continued to serve the electrical distribution channel, but I also had an opportunity to work with companies in the automotive aftermarket, heavy-duty truck parts, plumbing, HVAC, and industrial. I mean, does life get more exciting than that? Come on, right? And you know what? People say this is not a sexy industry. I think it's totally sexy. And do you know what I think makes it sexy? Is when you stop and think about all of the products that we make, they get used in housing, and in hospitals and in schools. So we make this huge and dramatic impact every single day. So maybe the products themselves don't sound sexy to others, but when you see the end results, I think we work in a fantastic industry. So after working with all those companies and all of those different sectors, especially with the technology, every single company that we encountered really struggled with the creation of their data and managing it in a way that was really effective and efficient for them. So in 2005, I co-founded DATAgility, and we are specifically focused on helping manufacturers and distributors create a product content strategy that aligns with their corporate objectives. And I'm just here to say that every technology that you deploy, ERP, PIM, CRM, any other three-letter acronym you can think of, at the heart of all of that technology is data. So the better your data is, the better your return on investment is. So again, very pleased to be here with you today. And I'm going to say one more thing about myself, and that is I'm not from IT. How many of you are here from the IT world? Get them high, because you guys have knowledge and experience that I don't understand always. So isn't it great to have a moderator up here to talk about IT infrastructure? So I'm more, right? I'm on the business side, and we rely on IT every day to deliver the solutions and the networking and the support so that we have the technology in place that delivers value and solves problems for us. So I'm really, really pleased to have the panel of experts that we have here today. All three of these individuals have very long and distinguished careers in the distribution channel. And I'm going to start the introductions here. All right. Let's start with Della Coffelt. She has, this is incredible to me, almost 40 years, or is it 40? It is 40 years of experience in the distribution channel. And she has probably held almost every imaginable role at a distributorship, with the exception of driving and operating a forklift, because she is known to be a little bit of a hot rod, okay? So in addition to that, Della has she's a certified supply chain consultant, and that is awarded to those individuals who have really mastered the technology, the concepts and strategies related to end-to-end supply chain operations. She is also a published author. And Della, I saw that, I was so excited about it. What is the name of the publication?
Business process automation.
Yes, so great article. If you get a chance, look it up, read through it. She's got some great advice. She is, now I'm going to have to look at my notes for this. I didn't memorize all of this. She is the CIO of IAC, and they serve the industrial automation, construction, and energy markets in 3 states with 7 locations. And her role as CIO has evolved from a strictly technology-focused position to a business-centric. And as a C-level, it's her responsibility to make sure that her employees and every department has the tools that they need in order to operate efficiently and effectively. And she also works with their customers and the suppliers to make sure that they have the latest and greatest technology to continue to make it easy for them to do business together. And then always ensuring that the technology that's applied is in alignment with their overall corporate strategy. So please join me in welcoming Della this morning.
Thank you.
Phil Hale, you're up next. Now, what I want to tell you about Phil, he is the CIO for Elliott Electric. They have 140 locations across 8 different states. And Phil is celebrating this month his 31st year with Elliott Electric. And I think that's an amazing accomplishment, Phil. So his responsibilities include the company's software development, the hardworking, the networking, the B2B and B2C e-commerce, as well as the documentation of all their processes and systems. And he is also continually working with his internal employees, as well as the suppliers and the customers, to improve the user experience wherever possible. Now, Phil, as Della and Robert, they are all members of the NAED Technology Committee. They are active and they have been contributing. And if you guys have not gone out to the NAED website and looked for the technology piece, make sure you do that. They have taken a great deal of time and thoughtfulness in putting material that I think is very beneficial to IT professionals. So, and if you can't find that, you let me know and I'll give you the specific link for that. Phil has been a part of the development of the industry data standards through IDEA. He is currently serving on the board of IDEA, and a little known fact, at least it was to me, is that Phil is also a pilot, and he flew to be here with us today. So thank you for joining us, Phil. And Robert is bringing 14 years of experience. See, I don't have a clicker, and I need that. I need that technology. It'd make it so much better. Okay, so he's been in the distribution channel for 14 years. He's with Womack. They have 31 locations that he's responsible for as the IT manager. And he works very, very closely with the sales team to ensure that they're delivering technology and tools that deliver real value to their customers. Now, I don't know if I said it already, but all 3 of them are on the NAED Technology Committee. All 3 of them are also stars. You can find them on the YouTube channel as well. So after the session is over, if you want to line up for autographs, I'm sure that they'll be willing to do that. But they are very well known for their thought leadership on e-commerce and the various technologies. So isn't it exciting to have these professionals with us today? Let's give them all a round of applause. Okay. So I just want to get a feel a little bit for who we have in the audience. How many distributors are in the audience? Okay. How many manufacturers? Very good. Welcome. Welcome. Any service providers? Oh, I thought I recognized a couple of you. Well, we're really, really pleased to have you here today, and we're going to get started on the panel here very quickly, because I'm sure you're dying to hear everything they have to impart with you. But what I do want to say is we have 90 minutes together. And while I'm going to be asking the panelists some key questions, what's really important is that you ask your questions to the panelists. They're here and they're available. So as they're talking and it triggers a question, wave your hand wildly or conservatively, it doesn't matter, either one. And then we'll get those questions posed to the panel so that you can take away the information that's most important to you. So we want it to be interactive. We want you to be engaged. There's no need to wait to ask questions till the very end. And really our goal is that we're imparting enough information with you to take back to your organizations and put into motion. I firmly believe, I think I created this quote, is that there's no value to vision without execution, and there's no value to execution without vision. So we're really excited to hear all of these thoughts at the panel, but we really want you to go back and put them into motion. Okay? Sound good? Everybody excited? Okay. All right. All right. I know, it's right after lunch. We got to get the energy going. So the digital transformation that's taking place with all of these digital technologies is impacting every industry, every sector. We're seeing competitive advantages that are created. We're seeing greater operational efficiencies, and we're driving better and better user experiences. And this Ray Kurzweil, I don't even know if I'm saying his name right, but he's an author, he's a scientist, he's an inventor, and this is his quote. He said, "We won't experience 100 years of progress in the 21st century, but rather it's going to be 20,000 years of progress." And I firmly believe that the rate of technology and the rate at which things are being introduced and then dying and then new things coming along is happening faster and faster. So, and digital transformation isn't just about the business side and the technologies. There's an impact on the IT infrastructure. And with that, I'm going to look towards our panelists here this morning and ask them, what are some of the emerging technologies that you see that are happening where you can apply them to the IT infrastructure?
Some of the things that I'm seeing that we're looking at basically every day are things to make things more effective, or efficient, I should say. So SD-WAN is one that's coming out. We've expanded our network to the point where it's now going from St. Louis down to the Gulf Coast. We've got to have something that provides 100% uptime and allows my users to be up 100% of the time. Plus, at a management level, I don't want to drive from St. Louis to the Gulf Coast. I need to be able to handle everything on the network in one spot. So we're looking at this emerging technology of SD-WAN. It's been out for a while. It hasn't really gained a lot of traction because of the cost side, but the cost has come way down. All of a sudden, we have Windstream, AT&T, CenturyLink. Everybody's getting on this wagon, so now the cost is coming down. Some of the other technologies that we're looking at that allow us to be more efficient just within our department is everything from cloud computing to remote access. Having a server, basically having somebody in my department live somewhere else. I happen to live in Colorado. I do 90% of my work remote. I'm only in Memphis 1 week out of every year. So I'm looking at other people within the department being more efficient by not having to travel. So utilizing technology that's been there for quite some time to allow for more efficiencies by having remote access.
I guess for us, it's, I'm constantly looking at the user experience, whether it's employees, customers, manufacturers. So for us, it's the technologies that can help us with that experience. So whether it's voice in the warehouse or process automation, which is big to us, helping people, for example, even in payables, the best way to analyze discrepancies in invoices to POs. EDI was great, but it doesn't handle a lot of the errors that we have to deal with. Or it's another big one is dealing with pricing. Every distributor has those issues, so it's getting the software to where it can help with some of the less, liked transactions, trying to figure out where pricing is, automate those, and so that way they can take that data and make other decisions with. So finding those tools, there's a lot of them out there. Some of them work pretty good, and others are, obviously we've made some mistakes ourselves, with those investments, but so we're continually trying to drive that experience so that our employees and our customers and even our partners with the manufacturers aren't having to go and manually see if something is at a critical state, or see if we're out of stock, or see if our pricing is not at what it needs to be. The system should be able to give you that information. So that's generally what we're looking at, and part of that obviously is cloud. That's a big deal. I can't think of not being virtualized. Today's world, everything is about speed and the ability to expand, and the cloud infrastructures that are out there today is, whether it's in-house, and we do a lot of things in-house, we write our software in-house, technologies in-house, so, but we do use the cloud environment quite a bit. On the warehouse side, obviously there's a tremendous amount that can be done there. For a distributor, that's a huge cost for us. So whether it's the delivery trucks, automation in the warehouse, even with the forklifts and the pickers and the various other things, there's so much you can do. So that's generally where we're spending our time.
And to add to that, on the warehouse side, process automation and delivery, some emerging technologies that are not really all that new, but there's something to really pay attention to is you got companies like Uber that are going to start experimenting with delivery. So you got Uber delivery going on in San Francisco where they're delivering food and whatnot, but can you imagine the distribution industry where now you can schedule pickup because you're a warehouse guy, you got a lean branch, they're out making deliveries, you got a customer that needs something right away. Now I can schedule an Uber truck to come pick up my material and deliver to my customer and get it to them on a timely fashion, and versus having to reroute your guys to come back and pick up the material. And then, this is not that new of a technology, but I'm still really excited about it and see how it can affect the warehouse side of it. Is something like Google Glass. You got your guys out in the warehouse now with RF guns. Now, can you imagine what the potential is for picking when you're wearing glasses, telling you where to go inside your warehouse, what to pick, scanning it with the camera on there. So those are some really neat things that I constantly listen to. We got a lady coming tomorrow to speak, Stacy Higginbotham, which is on she's an expert on IoT. And she is a co-host on This Week in Google, and it's one of the podcasts I listen to on a weekly basis. And I listen to that, pay attention to what they're doing with glass and what's the next technology they're going to implement in it. And then I get really excited about how in the world I can get my hands on one of those and figure out how to increase our productivity in the warehouse. So those are some emerging technologies that I'm paying attention to.
And I just want to let you know, I have no idea what these guys are going to say until they say it, okay? So I heard a lot of exciting things in there. I'm hearing about the remote access, and I think that as we continue to have a younger and younger workforce, they're looking for greater flexibility in how they work and where they work, and that ability to work in from home. I think that's critical. The cloud computing, we're going to come back to that. And then you talked about Uber. I am going to tell you, I was just in Kansas City, Missouri, and I was picked up by an Uber to get to my hotel, and it turns out that he is a driver for Uber, Lyft, and Amazon Flex. And so it was a very fascinating discussion to have with him, and he talked about some of the challenges related to that whole process. It's pretty exciting. I have visited the million square foot Amazon warehouse distribution centers, and they're starting to buy more local warehouses, but using those independent contractors to make that last step of delivery. And like Amazon typically does, they're deploying technology to enable that whole process. So as they go into that local warehouse to pick up the products, a couple things are happening. Now they're responsible for putting those products into their vehicles and getting them delivered, but Amazon is creating what they feel is the most efficient route for them to take to deliver those products. And the driver said to me, yeah, Amazon thinks they're really smart, but they don't know the city like I know the city. So they have made some changes in those routes, and then they're feeding that information back to Amazon, who then uses that information again to make improvements in that technology. So I think that there's a lot of opportunities for us in distribution to think about how we make that final step of delivery, and certainly Uber and other delivery mechanisms are certainly an option for us as well. And then your Google Glasses made me think about, anybody read what Volvo is doing? Volvo? I can't say it. It's a car company, Volvo.
Volvo.
All right, thank you. There we go. It's that car company, okay? They are using augmented reality, and I thought about this for the distribution channel in terms of all of the sophisticated industrial systems that we make available. Well, Volvo has created these glasses, and they only have a certain number of master technicians around the world. And so as local mechanics are working on the car, they run into issues that they can't resolve on their own. So they can put these augmented glasses on, and it's really Volvo who is controlling what they see. So they don't have to say to that mechanic, oh, you need to turn your head a little bit to the left because I can't quite see the part. They're controlling the camera that's around that.